Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name is Mary. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you for being here. So today I want to do some analysis on one of the set books that are done by the Kenyan high school learners. I want to focus on the anthology of a silent song and other stories. So this is how the anthology looks like. So I hope you've had a clear view of the book. So the book has in number 14 stories that are written by different writers across the world. So these writers range from writers in Kenya, we have writers from Europe, we have writers from other countries in Africa and such. So the story that I have chosen for today is called December. December is an interesting story that is written by a writer from Namibia. This writer is called Philemon Liyambo. In his story, he talks about our main character that is called December. December is a young lady that has a lot of challenges, and especially when it comes to mental illness. I'll take you briefly to the history of this family, or the family that December comes from. So December comes from a family that is made up of their grandfather. Their grandfather is called Ezekiel. Their father is called Silas Shikongo. They have another grandfather who is the young brother to their grandfather, who is called Joseph. So and also the brother is called September. So these characters or this family has some issues to do with mental illness, because when you look at one of the character like Joseph, when he was a teenager, he started losing track of time, but he did not get the right attention that he needed. And then we have Silas Shikongo. Silas Shikongo is the father to September and December. So Silas Shikongo decides to name his last four children using the names of the month that they were conceived in. And this is where we get to ask ourselves whether this man really knew time, or whether he had some issues to do with his reasoning. So like, for example, when we go through the story, we get to know that let's start with December, our main character. That December was born in September. But if you do your right calculations, you're going to realize that December must have, if December was really conceived in December, then her birth month would have been August. And then let's talk about her brother. Her brother is called September. September was born in July. And if really he was conceived in September, then he was supposed to be born in May. So when his father Ezekiel and his friends saw him naming his children after the month that they were conceived, they looked at him as a foolish person or a stupid person, as we are told in the story. But the truth is, he had some mental challenges that were supposed to be addressed. To our main character, who is December, we are told in the story that December was a young girl who was doing any stuff that any young girl of her age could be doing. So when she was in her final year of high school, almost doing her final exam and joining the teachers training college, something happened and she went berserk. Her grandfather Ezekiel couldn't believe that her granddaughter had really gone berserk, but he said that there is something, or there are some forces behind this. Or in other words, he believed that maybe his granddaughter had been bewitched. So instead of taking her to a mental institution, the first thing that he decides to do is to take her to a healer. When he takes her to a healer, this healer does not help December. December comes back, in fact, worse than when she went. We are told through her brother, we get to learn that when December comes back, she has lost a lot of weight and she looks dejected. Later on, they decide to take her to a mental institution and she's placed in a psychiatric ward. While in the psychiatric ward, we have September, who frequently visits her, but it reaches a point where he needs to go to the UK for further studies. And the grandfather Ezekiel promises September that he would take care of December. So September goes to the UK and leaves December in the hands of her grandfather. So through the story, we get to understand that the grandfather visited for some time and stopped visiting. And after some time, we have September, who comes back from the United Kingdom. When he comes back, he goes to visit his sister in the psychiatric ward. When he gets there, he is late. Remember, all hospitals have visiting hours. He is late. But what does he tell the guard? He insists that he must see his sister. I remember the sister is December. She has been in that psychiatric ward for a long time. So eventually, he is able to meet his sister. And we get to know that there are things that he brought along with, like, for example, he brings a jersey, he brings a t-shirt and soft chips to his sister. He also brings a pen and a book that contains puzzles. And these are things that really excite December. She's so happy. In fact, she does not want her brother to leave her alone or to go back home. She is reassured that the next day her brother would come back to visit her. But the truth is, her brother would not be visiting her, because the following day is the day that they will be burying their grandfather Ezekiel. And Ezekiel dies and goes to the grave with a lot of secrets. Some of these secrets is like he had always not permitted December to eat chicken, and he had always promised September that he would tell him the reason. He does not. He goes to the grave with that secret. Another secret is when his brother Joseph lost track of time as a teenager, he disappeared, and eventually he was found in a pond dead. And this came to Ezekiel through a dream. And in that dream, he says that he saw the brother eating something. And therefore, everyone, including the elders, wanted to know what exactly was it that Joseph was eating. And Ezekiel had promised that he would tell them. And he dies with the secret and takes it to the grave. When the story comes to the end, we are told that it is the month of October. And this is the month that September buries his grandfather Ezekiel. This story is very interesting, and especially to the African community, because most of the times when we have our relatives, neighbors having mental challenges, instead of taking them to the right places like a psychiatric ward or a mental institution, what most people believe in is that these people have been bewitched. And because they have been bewitched, then we take them to the wrong places, like, for example, to a witch doctor. And once we take those people there, once we take these patients that have mental illnesses, we do not help them. Rather, we make them to suffer in the hands of such people. Therefore, it is a story that is challenging us or giving us the information that we need, that once we have people that have mental illnesses or patients, let's take them to the right place, and the right place is a mental institution. That is where they're going to receive the right care, the right medication, and the right support. Therefore, let us avoid being superstitious, sticking to old traditions that are not helpful in this generation. Thank you. If you do like my video, please share, like, and if you have not subscribed, please do so. In the next video, I'll be talking about the themes that have been brought out in this particular story, that is December, a story that is written by Philemon Liyambo from Namibia. Thank you and goodbye.